Go ahead and read question number 3 for me, please, Jackson.
What is the value of 4/10 plus 300ths?
Yeah, good. 300th, I like that. Okay, good. So before we do the operation here, well, first of all, are you familiar with adding fractions?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And you got to find a common denominator when you're adding fractions.
Uh-huh.
We're going to do that in just a minute, but first let's approach this with some basic logic and some just sort of basic estimation. What's 4/10 close to?
5/10.
It's close to 5/10, right? Which is 1/2, right?
Yeah.
So 4/10 is just a little bit less than a half, right?
Uh-huh.
And 3/100ths or 3/100 is pretty small, right? Can we agree that's pretty small?
Yes.
Yeah. Like in decimal form, that would be like 0.03 or something like that. And we'll talk about it in just a little bit, talk about turning fractions, decimals and fractions. It's pretty small. So the correct answer choice is going to be just over 4/10, or we could say probably just under 1/2.
Yeah.
Right? Just kind of feeling that one out. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. And just because of that, just so we know, the correct answer has got to be something just under 1/2. We should be able to eliminate 2 answer choices that aren't even close to 1/2. What answer choices?
I'd say it could be maybe 7/10.
Are you talking about eliminating or finding the right answer?
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, I want to eliminate incorrect answer choices first. Obviously, incorrect answer choices.
Yeah.
So which ones can we eliminate?
I would eliminate B and D.
Why B and D?
Because they're 110 as a common denominator.
Yeah, that's funky, right? And if you know how fractions work, and this is kind of cool, when you think in logical terms about these questions and answer choices, they're basing a lot of the answer choices on common misconceptions about math. And in this case, a common misconception about how you add fractions, right? You can't just add the denominators together, right? You have to have a common denominator. In fact, and even when you have the common denominator, then you don't add the denominators together. You just add the numerators together, right? So just sort of logically, I agree with you. We can eliminate B because the common denominator is not going to be 110. Gone, right? And then D also the same thing. Common denominator is not going to be 110. But then even more so, that's not even close to 1/2, is it? Answer choice D.
No, it's not.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like less than 1/10. So that's just kind of silly. Take a look at answer choice C, though. I think we can eliminate answer choice C as well. Why can we eliminate C?
Because of the number it is. I don't know if it would be 7/10.
Yeah, well, how big is 7/10? I mean, like, is that bigger than a 1/2 or smaller than a half?
It's bigger than a half.
It's bigger than a half.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no way, and we talked about it right off the bat, right? 4/10 plus 3/100. 3/100 is barely anything.
Yeah.
That's just not going to give us anything over a half.
Yeah, it's not going to be that great of a tenth.
No. No. I mean, it's a small hundredth, right? I mean, it's just not that big. 3 out of 100 is very, very small. So I think just kind of feeling this one out, again, logic and basic kind of estimation, we can eliminate answer choice C. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, let's do the operation now. Okay, we want to find that common denominator and then add these guys together. So we've got it. What we got to do is we got to express 4/10 with, if we can do it, and I think we can, with 100 in the denominator. How do we do that?
I haven't done it in a while.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Do you think you could logically figure it out? And if not, no problem. I'll guide you through it.
I would say you could convert the 10 to a 100th.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how to do it.
Yeah. Well, let me show you how. So we got to find the common denominator. The common denominator is going to be 100. Okay. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to take that 4/10. Okay. And then I'm going to multiply that by 10/10. Okay, right, with just the parentheses and no sign in between. We're talking about multiplication here, right? Now, Jackson, I got a question for you. What is 10/10? What's 10 divided by 10 equal?
0?
No.
No, 1.
1. right? Anything divided by itself is 1. Yeah. Now, 0 divided by anything is 0.
Yeah.
But anything divided by itself is 1, right? Like 2 over 2 is 1, and 3 over 3 is 1, and 10 over 10 is 1, and anything divided by itself, just in general, is 1, right? Okay. So when I multiply 4/10 by 10 over 10, I'm just multiplying by 1, essentially. And what's anything multiplied by 1, Jackson?
Itself.
It's itself.
Same thing.
Exactly. So I'm not changing the value of 4/10 by multiplying by 10 over 10, right? Because I'm multiplying by 1. I'm just changing the form of 4/10. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, so let's multiply this out. Now, do you remember how to multiply fractions?
Yeah.
How do you multiply fractions?
Just I think the numerators you multiply.
Yep, but not just the numerator. Yep, you multiply both the numerator and the denominator.
Yeah.
Across, right? So I multiply 4 by 10. What do I get when I multiply 4 by 10?
40.
40. And then what's 10 times 10?
100.
100. And now I've got 4/10. Yep, I've got 4/10 expressed with a 100 in the denominator. It's 40 over 100. But just kind of look at 40 over 100 for just a minute. Doesn't it just kind of feel like 4/10?
Yeah.
Like it's the same kind of value, right? I mean, it's 40 out of 100. If you get 40 questions right out of a 100 question test, God forbid, wouldn't be great. But that's the same as getting 4/10 of the questions right? It just feels the same. So, and by the way, that's again where if you carried out some operation, I would stop for a minute. You got all the time in the world on the TSI. I'd stop for a minute and kind of just feel things out and be like, does those seem about the same? Yeah, okay, that's about the same. That's the same. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And now we're going to add that to 3 over 100, which we can do now because we've got that common denominator in 100. And now, when we add fractions, how do we add fractions again?
Side by side, I'm not sure. I know how to add fractions. You're gonna add the 3 to the 40.
Yeah.
And then you're not gonna add the denominator.
Exactly. That's it exactly. Yeah. Just add the numerator. Don't worry about leave the denominator the same, which is going to give us 43 over 100. By the way, you do the same thing when you're subtracting fractions. You just subtract the numerator and leave the denominator the same, as long as you have that common denominator. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Well, once again, we've been able to confirm answer choice A, which we got to, by the way, just kind of logically. Right? You didn't remember the exact operation of carrying out fractions. Doesn't matter. You would have gotten this one right if you thought about it logically the way we were thinking about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
It's really good.
You just don't need to know everything. And it's a totally different way of looking at tests. I approach the SAT and the ACT the exact same way. You don't need to know everything about math. You just need to know enough to find the right answer choice. There's only 4 answer choices. There's 5 on that. There's 4 on the ACT math as well. You just don't need to know everything. Just enough to find the right answer choice, and we've got enough to find answer choice A here. Okay. Any questions about that?
No, sir.
Okay. Rock and roll.